right, let's get going. My name is Grant Fritchey. I work for Redgate Software. This is my contact information. I don't do about me slides. Nobody likes them. Who wants to know where I went to high school? Right, no one cares. Cool. If you can't tell from the accent, I am from the United States. I'm sorry. People usually ask me what I'm sorry for, and I say pick one. You only get one. Okay, so cool. All right, that is a bass boat. I don't own a bass boat. I'm not into bass fishing, but I live in Oklahoma, and I know no one knows where that is. You all know where Texas is, yeah? The bottom of the country? We're right above Texas. So anyway, bass boats are huge. There's lots of lakes, lots of rivers. People love bass fishing. It is a thing. And I realized one day, I teach bass fishermen how to do databases. Yes, that's where I live. I support these people. I don't support the hackers. I don't support the committers. I don't support all the guys who know all the internals and all the women who are fantastic at what they do and they're deep diving into all this stuff. I'm here for these people. Now, I don't do bass fishing. I do ham radio. Kilo Charlie 1, Kilo Charlie Echo. CQ? Anybody? No? It's always like that. Anyway, I'm here for the people who care more about their hobby than they care about Postgres. Not that I don't love Postgres, I really do. I'm into it, it's cool. But the goals today hopefully are talking about the need for metrics for query tuning, why we're doing it, talk about the stuff that's available in Postgres, and how to gather that stuff up. Simple, straightforward. And again, this is for absolute beginners. I'm not assuming that you've got deep knowledge. Heck, I don't. I'm not one of these people yet. I'm working on it, trying, but I'm not there. The code, top, slides, bottom. Help yourself. Cool. By the way, I have no problem with questions as we go. If you want to shout them out, I'll repeat them. But otherwise, off we go. Cool. So why capture metrics? Well, because your code sucks. I'm sorry, it's true. Unless you don't have the right indexes. That's possible. Could be. And certainly, you could be missing indexes. You may need a different index. Gin instead of gist. I mean, I pay attention to this stuff. Or maybe you're not running the vacuum quite often enough. I mean, Robert's last session was horrifying. Anyway, you're not getting the statistics updated. So the statistics are out of date. And so your queries are going off to the rails because there's all kinds of issues there. Hey, it could certainly be your structure. You haven't actually normalized your database. And normalization is good for performance, believe it or not. Foreign keys, primary keys, all these things actually can help performance. But probably it's your code stinks. Guaranteed. But the question is, which code? I mean, because it's not all of it. Probably. Maybe not, but probably. So where would we want to go to? We want to go to an idea of we're working off of knowledge. We're not guessing. Okay, now I'll grant you, there is one query, the one run by the CEO. Go tune that one. Get that one running as fast as possible. And now the work begins. Okay, so now you have to go and start saying, like, okay, which queries are run on the system most frequently? Which queries run slowly? Which queries use the most resources? Which queries are causing me pain? Because we don't want to guess. And we certainly don't want to just be responsive. Oh, phone's ringing. Probably a performance problem. Yeah, hang on. Sure, we'll go and track that down. Horrible way to work. Horrible. Or worse yet, because it's not going to be while you're sitting at your desk comfy. It's going to be at 3 a.m. And 3 a.m. is no fun to start doing query tuning. Trust me. For those who haven't done it. especially 3 a.m. on a Saturday night after I've had several good bourbons, maybe a couple more than I should have had, especially since I was on call. Not that I would ever do that. This isn't being recorded, right? We don't want to guess. We want to identify the problem. We want to investigate. We want to make the modifications necessary, whatever they might be, measure it to ensure that we actually did it, and then start all over again. Everybody okay with this? I mean, is this reflective of your life? And if it's not reflective of your life, you're clearly not supporting production databases. Cool. So, 3 tools I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about pgstat statements and auto-explain. I'm going to talk about the logs, and I'm going to talk about explain and or execution plans. And I'm doing them in this order for a very, very particular reason. And the reason is that, these are generally the tools that you get with almost every single Postgres install that there's out there. Sure, there's different exceptions, and there's definitely differences, and if you're running on AWS, you may not get this, or if you're running on Azure, you may not get that. If you're running some of the other flavors of Postgres that are not quite Postgres, sure, cool. But most of it, these things are available, and so that's why I'm going to focus on these. Secondly, the order in which I put these, has anyone seen this session? God, I've only done this session 3 times, so I doubt anyone's seen it before. Has anyone seen it before? Don't see any hands. Cool. I've changed the order because I was doing it totally wrong. I'm starting with the pgstat statements because it's an aggregation. Why would I start with aggregation? Well, because most of the time you care about the stuff that on average runs long, or on average has the most resource use, or in total causes me the most pain, or, and I'll talk about a little story on this, is executed the most. That's where you start. And then you start to drill down into more detail. That's where the logs come in. But then you've got to start doing work, making changes to the code, updating stats, creating indexes, blah, 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 blah. And that's where the explain plans come in. So that's why I broke it down into this order. Everybody cool with that? Does it change anyone's reality radically or anything? Cool. All right, moving on. So, stats and auto-explain. And I'm putting them together. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on auto-explain because I want to save the plans right for the very end. And we've got 3 hours on this, right? 3 hours? No? He's saying no. I thought this was a 3-hour session. Wow, I'll have to speed up. Kidding. Cool. Once you enable pgstat statements, it runs. Cool. Yay. I don't have to think about it. Well, you're going to want to think about it. The information is aggregated. Okay, cool. What do I care? Before and after. Before and after what? I don't know. You tell me. Before and after you added a new index. Before you added the index, it ran on average in this amount of time. After added the index, what's the average going to be? Cumulative on top of what you've already done. Oh. I may have to gather these stats twice. Yeah. You may need to gather the stuff more than one time so that you've got before and after. So knowing that it's aggregated is good. We want it. We want that. How many times was it executed? 10,000. Awesome. Since when? Last 2 minutes. Ooh. Okay, cool. Something I need to know. The metrics are broken down by type, which is nice. And you can see real-time information, not so much from pgstat statements, from the CSS stuff, the Cumulative Statistics System. And by the way, say statistics over and over again to a crowd of people and not mess it up. It's hard. And I haven't had any drinks yet. Maybe I should make it easier. Cool. The other thing I like about it is it's disabled by default. And I really love this. The people who built Postgres over the years, they've really sat down and thought about stuff. And one of the things they thought about, and I love this, is that they sort of came at it from a Hippocratic oath. First, do no harm. So they're not turning this on by default. And they certainly don't turn on auto-explain by default, because that one's painful. But you're going to use it. They don't turn it on by default because they don't want to hurt your system. So they're minimizing the load on your systems, which is good. However, it also means that you can only look at the queries that are running now. It finished 5 minutes ago, you're not seeing it. It finished yesterday at 3 p.m., you're not seeing it. So probably you're going to want to enable this. Once you're there, cool, it collects the data, off it runs, and you just run queries to look at the data. I know how to run queries. Who doesn't know how to run queries? Okay, cool. No hands went up. That's great. Usually there's somebody in the back, Pavlo or somebody going, yeah, I don't know how to run queries. If you want to see the explain plans, you can look at the logs because it will capture those automatically. I'm not drilling down on the auto-explain except for one thing. It adds a lot of overhead. Be very, very cautious using it. Okay? Did I say that really clearly? Cool, because it adds a lot of overhead. You want to be cautious using it. I'm not telling you won't use it. I'm telling you will. But I'm saying you want to be very careful with it. Hey, let's play with code. Who wants to look at slides all day? Let's look at code. Code's more fun anyway. All right, let me first get this out of my way. There we go. And then adjust this. There we go. These are the shared preload libraries. I am running timescale on my local laptop here, and yeah, I know I'm running Windows. Talk to my boss, it's not my fault. All of my work I do at home, I'm doing on Linux like a proper human, but at work I have to run Windows. Sorry, it's not my fault. But I have put in auto-explain, and I have put in pgstat statements. Making changes to that probably will cause you to restart your cluster. Your problem, not mine. Now, if you're running on AWS, you're running on Google, you're running on Azure, they're collecting a lot of the query stuff for you. Azure even has a really cool extension called Query Store. If you're running on Azure, check it out. It's really, really cool. Test it. Don't trust me and just enable it everywhere automatically. But test it. See if it works for you. But it's really, really cool because it breaks things down by hour by default so that you get before and after. It's still doing aggregates, but it's doing aggregates in 1 hour chunks. Yay! I don't have to run queries. I can just pull information. Anyway. So that gets us going. That does a restart. Cool. Now, if we're, where the heck did Beaver go? Uh-oh. There it is. All right, I've got a few sample queries here. They're silly queries, nothing fancy. I just want to run them once so that we know that they're there. I am running against Blue Box. It's a sample database built by Ryan Booz. And it's open source, and you can contribute. You can obviously consume it. It's available on GitHub. It's really cool. I like it, mainly because I like movies. So it's a fun way to fool around with databases and still see things that, I enjoy, as opposed to, weird stuff that I don't care about. Yeah, I know, that query ran kind of long. It's kind of a badly written query. What idiot wrote that? Hi, my name's Grant. So, PGStat activity. That's part of the Cumulative Statistics System. It's built in, it's there, it's available. And if we run it, it returns the information. Hang on, I did this demo. I did do this on a webinar last night. Although I've updated the slides since then. So anybody who saw the webinar, this is a new presentation, at least in part. Anyway, I couldn't zoom, so I couldn't make sure I showed you what I want you to see. So this is showing me the activity currently on my system. And this is how you can go in there to look for locks and blocks and see what's going on in terms of contention for resources on actively running queries. Cool. Anybody have any issues? Awesome. Moving on, because this is not part of the demo. Now, PGStat statements, I've already enabled it, so it's there, it's running. But I can start adding other things to it. For example, I don't want it to capture every query. I don't want it capturing system queries, for example. So I'm just going to have it capture top. I could also set it so it captures none. Or I can make it so that, hey, I'm capturing all the planning for every single statement, and I'm making auto-explain run so it captures every single execution plan as it goes. And I'm putting a hell of a load on my system because I'm doing all of it. Blech. Don't do that. This is a demo, right? So I'm showing off. However, what you can do is the same kind of stuff I've done here. Alter system set and make changes so that it only captures queries over a certain length, or only captures queries on a certain database, or only captures queries from a certain user. And you all know who that user is. The one, you know the one. There's that problem child who has way too much access and writes code because they know better than you do how to write code. And the ones that aren't here today, learning and getting better, those are the ones. So you can do all of that and track them down. So I'm going to show you PGStat statements. And the reason I'm showing it with a select star, that's a horrible way to run the query. It's not a good way to run the system. But I'm showing you that just because I want to look at the amount of information that's there. And so we look at it, obviously, the query. We need the code. Cool, that's there. But in addition to the code, how many plans does this code generate? Ooh, oh, cool. Good to know, because the same set of code, different parameters, different sets of statistics could generate different plans. And knowing that we've got multiple plans coming out of it can be useful from a query tuning standpoint to understand the behaviors of the system. Awesome. Total plan time, min plan time, max plan time. How long is it spending putting the plans together? All useful information. But the best bit of the useful information here is the fact that they calculate the standard deviation for me. Yes, because then I can look at that mean time and then have an understanding of what the mins and max mean. Because it could be just kind of normal that it's deviating within these areas, or it could be wildly crazy. And having that standard deviation gives me that information. Cool. The number of calls. Now, I promised you a story. It's not my story. I am not the hero. Matter of fact, I'm the idiot. So we had a problem system. We go in and we start looking at which queries are running the longest. Obviously, identify those queries and start working on those. Which queries cumulatively are using up the most resources? Okay, cool. Identify those, start working on those. And we're spending all our time working on it, and we're trying out new things, and the system's still pain and running slow. And somebody comes back from vacation, the hero of the story. He goes in, first thing he does is just goes, which query's called the most? And there's one query, runs in 5 milliseconds. It's called several thousand times a minute, but it runs in 5 milliseconds. He tunes it, gets it down to 3. This is the hero of the story? Yeah, almost 50% improvement on that query. We saw the moment he implemented it, we saw the CPU go, oh, cool. So don't ignore that. That's really important. But this gives it to you. But then you get the total execution time, the min, the max, again, standard deviation. How many rows did it hit? Did it hit shared blocks? Is it hitting local blocks? Is it hitting temp blocks? I mean, there's a lot of data in here now. The wall records that are affected by this. I mean, just-in-time inlining, I don't even know what that is. Seriously, I don't. I really don't. I'm not joking. And then how long has the stats been available for this query? All of that stuff is right there, all of it available in that one query. And that's why I ran select star. Now, is that the way you're going to use it? Heck no. That's not a good way to use it. Run select star and then scroll up and down and scroll. No. We're going to, use this really cool thing. And now some of the developers out here, this might be mind-blowing. We're going to use this really cool thing called a where clause. Sorry, I've been a DBA for 30 plus years. I am required legally to at least crack one developer joke, and that was it, and I'm sorry. I apologize. Get off my screen. So in this case, I'm just going to go for query time. I'm not going to go for anything crazy. I want to look at the min, the max, total. And I just want to look at queries that ran longer than a second, because this is based on milliseconds. Cool. So 1,000 milliseconds. And I hit the button. What happened? There it goes. Cool. And you may recognize the query that we ran earlier, or you may not. But that query that ran 4 or 5 seconds long, there it is. Min time was 3.5 seconds, max time just almost 6. Total execution time's 28 seconds, because I've been testing this to make sure it worked to get ready for you. And the mean time and then the standard deviation, so we have some idea what's going on. There's how we use the the PGStat statements. It's not complex, it's not hard, it's not crazy. It should be fairly simple and straightforward for most of you to put it to work. Really, it's just that easy. But there's more to it. I'm not stopped. One of the things that we can take a look at is information about it. When did this last get reset? When's the last time all the stats got reset? Okay, cool, that's good to know. And frequently the question comes up is, when's it happen? Database gets taken offline, let's see, server reboots, server crashes, all those fun things can cause that thing to reset. Or we can reset it ourselves. But, and this is where it gets fun, we can control it by the user ID, the database ID, or the query ID. Now you pass zeros to any of those and it ignores the rest of them. And so let's reset a query. Again, select star is a horrible way to write queries, but for demo purposes, it's simple, easy to explain, and also very, very short. So I'm going to pull the query ID out. I think it's already the same. Yeah, it is. Cool. Still pasting it anyway. Paranoid control freak. I mean, DBA, hi. So now I've removed that query. Well, let's see if I've removed that query. Because we've got a query right here that will pull it right back out of, oh, nope, it's gone. Cool. Why do I care? Before and after. Before and after what, Grant? I updated statistics. It got a new plan. I queried it before, got the total times it's running, updated the statistics, reset it, let it run for an hour or so, queried it again. Oh, yeah. So I can gather up my metrics and have an understanding of the behaviors of that query and just that query. I don't have to reset all the statistics for everybody everywhere. I can do just the one query or just the one user or just the one database. Whatever it is I need to do, I can make that happen. Everybody cool with that? That's where it starts to get really useful. This is a great tool. Are there other great tools? Absolutely. But that's this one. Now, there are shortcomings. It's aggregations only. How long did it run at 2:52 p.m. yesterday? I don't know. No way. No way to know. Not through this. So, cool. It usually does require a cluster restart to get it going. And if you are capturing the plans, and again, I didn't show you the plans, we'll get to those in a minute, you are going to have to look at the logs. So, shortcomings? Yeah. Oh, and it does put some overhead on the system. It's not free. Nothing's free. Heinlein fans, anybody? You know the next thing I'm going to say if you are. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. Right? Nothing is completely free. Cool. Logs. Logs are where we start talking about capturing detail, because we can capture log duration. Once we've got that, we can say, hey, you know what? I'm capturing log durations, but I want to capture the minimum duration statement. I'm going to say, I only want to capture queries that run over, 1 second long, let's say. Cool, put that in there, and then you'll only capture queries that run over 1 second long. I already mentioned auto-explain. We can turn that on. It spits stuff into the logs. We can look at the log statements. We can capture the log statements directly into the logs. Why would I want to put the query statements into the logs? So that you can match the query times to something. I'll show you in a minute. And then you can also add the log line prefix, which lets you see which line the statement's in inside of batches. Cool. It's all good stuff. So we can query it using pgreadFile, or we can query it using file FDW, or do what most people do and get pgbadger. I'll mention pgbadger again. It's not an extension, but I put it on the extension page. It's not an extension. I know it's not, but it's kind of is, sort of, to a degree. Cool. And you can store the logs as CSVs or JSON, whatever turns you on, right? I mean, that's on you. I leave them as CSVs just because I'm lazy, and I don't like JSON. Okay, JSON's fine. I don't like JSON queries. I know, I'm wrong. I can't help it. It's a personal problem. All right, logs. Now again, turning on the logs is pretty simple. There's not much to it. Hang on, I can't see. And the reason I'm scrolling up instead of down is because I wrote this thing originally by showing logs first, and then I realized that was really a stupid way to do the presentation. So I've changed the presentation, but I haven't changed the code. I'll get around to it. So anyway, I changed logging collector from off to on, set the log duration on, and if I've got the log duration on, let me show you this. Yesterday, when I was setting everything up and testing everything out, making sure I was getting ready, hang on 1 second. Should still be there. Cool. 1 sec, dbeaver's angry about doing these. So I set it up and I turned the logs on, just turned on capture the duration. And so, there you go. I mean, and so all you've got to do to use this is just scroll through until you see a query that you think you're interested in. No, that's not that one. It's 50 milliseconds. Oh, there's that one. That time look familiar to anybody? That's the long-running query that I've been running as samples. So now that I know that I've got that long-running query in there, I can go and tune it. Who thinks this is how we use this? Good, because this is crazy. This would be a horrible way to do it. So let's take a look at the log file later, after we turned on everything. Now, I'm just going to scroll down and find some interesting stuff to look at. There we go. I don't even know what these queries are. I kind of don't care. So it's got the query in there, and then, where is it? Oh, come on. There's got to be a plan in here someplace. Well, we'll look at a plan in a minute, because it's not capturing the plans. Okay, bad demo, bad demo, bad grant. However, the one thing I want to point out is we can get the query when we get the runtime. And so this gives us details. And it's not just the details that I care about. It's the fact that it's got the parameter values. So it's a parameterized query. Cool, good. That's what we want to see. But now we can see the actual value used. So when we're doing query tuning, query performance tuning, that value affects the plan created and therefore the performance of it. And so the fact that we can capture that from the logs here means that we can then make the determination and do some query tuning. Yay. Nobody's excited. Okay, cool. I'm fine. That's all right. We've got the long-running query. Now, the thing about the logs is you can control the way that they're set up too. Probably don't need to zoom on that one, do I? For example, I've set it so it's only capturing stuff running longer than 1 second now. It's set to analyze, it's set to capture the buffers, it's set to capture the timing, and it's set to capture verbose so it gets more detail. And I can test that by checking the show. And sure enough, it's coming back 1 second. Exactly what I would want to see. Cool. I mean, it's just the stuff that we need, the details that we need, the way we need them. Questions on that? Cool. How are we doing on time? How are we doing on time? Oh, 5 minutes to 20. Cool. Good. So log shortcomings. I think they're hard to read. So don't. PG Badger or something else. But I do think that they're hard to read. Also, going through logs means you do have to think about your storage management. If you're dumping all kinds of information in there, explain plans, statements, huge 10,000 line statements. I've seen your queries. 20,000, 60,000 line queries. I've seen them. That's going to affect the logs. That's going to affect I/O. It could affect some memory. I mean, it definitely could have impact, and it's something you're going to have to manage. Also, you might be developers, right? And you don't have access to the logs. Those evil DBAs, they hate you, and they're keeping you out, which honestly, GDPR, there might be reasons why they're doing it, but regardless, they should be getting you access somehow to some of the details that you need to do your job. But production still could be locked down, so you may not be able to get direct access to the logs. So you may have to, may not be able to get in there. And so there's some issues that. The other issue I have is that it's hard to correlate what's going on in the logs with other metrics. Whereas pulling the information out of, PGStat statements, you can use the other information to go like, well, okay, hang on. At the same time, what was going on, with blocking, what was happening with other CSS queries and stuff that I can correlate together and have an understanding of what's going on. It's harder to pull it out of the logs unless you're using a third-party tool, which we're also going to cover here shortly. All right, any questions on the logs? Logs are where we get a lot of detail. Now, explain plans are not data collection like the other two. They're very much a reactive thing. It's something that I'm doing on purpose to gather metrics so I can measure query performance because I'm doing something. I'm changing the code, I'm changing the structures, I'm adding indexes, I'm updating statistics, I'm doing something, and I want to see what it looked like before I did it, and I want to see what it looked like after I did it. Not just a measure of performance, but the shape. Did it do a scan or a scan-seek? What the heck's going on? What kind of join did it use? That information is coming back to me. So these are very much a fundamental tool for doing query tuning. You can't get away from them, even if you want to. If you're going to use them, you start off with explain. Simple, it gives you some information, gives you the plan, lets you know what's going on. Okay, fine. I want to analyze it, meaning I'm going to execute it and gather metrics. Cool, that adds additional measures, and if you're running it in production, overhead. So maybe don't do it there. Just saying. You can, certainly can. And then you can also capture the buffers, and it gives you the count of the blocks that were touched. So you get some idea what's going on with it. Demo time, cool. Now I'm going to use really dumb query. We've already seen it before. Nothing crazy, nothing complex. Let me get this out of our way. And so we get the basics of what we need. We got a sequence scan on film. There's a filter on the release date, the value that's passed in, and the estimated values on the rows coming back. Cool. Right? I mean, this is standard, simple execution plan. Nothing crazy. I'm not, it's not, hey, clap, come on. No, this is boring stuff. So let's execute the query and measure it. Same query. Again, nothing tricky. We get a lot of the same information. It's a sequence scan on film. The filter is on the date value. But now we say, hey, how many rows were removed by the filter? Oh, cool. What was the cost? What was the width? What was the actual time? Yes. Finally, detail. The stuff I care about. How long did this run? More than that, how long did it take to create the plan? Now, come on, this is a silly, simple plan on purpose. I don't have to explain a lot. I'm lazy. So I made a really simple one so I can go like, hey, it's just doing this, and off we go. But we can see how long that took. I mean, we had a query once. Query ran in about 400 milliseconds. Compile time was a couple of minutes. Bad, very bad. But it was it's only 86 table join, no big deal. I didn't write it. First time I saw it was like, oh, never saw that before. Well, I mean, you guys, I see some gray hair, a few. Most of you guys are young, which is awesome. But the gray hair, never join more than 3 tables. Anybody remember that one? Seriously, that used to be a rule idiots came up with. It was really just considered to be a rule. Go look it up, ask the AI. It'll tell you about the old days. Far too frequently. Most of them only use their training sets. But anyway, it was horrible. So anyway, 86 table join, that was too many. That found the line. Okay, cool. Now we explain, analyze buffers, and now we get sequence on scan. We get the same information that we had before. Awesome. And we've added in the buffers. How many shared buffers were hit? 884, 4, and now we've got more detail, more understanding of what's going on in the query. And we care about that stuff because that represents I/O. And most of the time, I/O is our biggest problem. Not always, but more often than not. It just is. Moving data is expensive. Always has been, always will be. And yeah, there's a million different ways we can make it less expensive, but usually it involves using all kinds of cool CPUs, battery-operated CPUs, and all these other things. Well, yeah, okay, cool. So what you're saying is CPU is generally not the problem. It's a solution to problems. Yes. So it's just one of those ways you can get away from stuff, but I/O is frequently a big issue for people. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that, all that Windows stuff. Again, I've already apologized for that. It's not my fault. Okay, so what are the shortcomings? Well, to get the measures, you have to execute. No other way around it. Also, this doesn't give you the aggregations. How many times was that query called? Well, the 3 times I ran it in front of you. Right? We don't have any other way to measure it. We don't have any other counts. So I like aggregates. I'm never dismissive of aggregates, but we just need more than aggregates. It's just I wouldn't eliminate aggregates. I want both. I want the detail when I need it and the aggregate when I need that. So it's not a big deal that it doesn't have them, but it doesn't have them. Okay, cool. What about the other metrics? Do we care about memory, CPU, I/O weights, or any of the other stuff? Yeah, absolutely. It all matters. But what's the problem most of the time? Your code. So generally, we're going to focus on the code. Can we fix things by tuning parameters? Yes. Can we fix things by spending more money, getting bigger hardware? Yes. Moving up in the next service tier at AWS? Sure. Any of that stuff will help. But it's the code. So all of this stuff is important. None of this goes away. But generally, it's queries. So other extensions that you can throw into it. PG Badger, I've already mentioned 3 or 4 times. It's not an extension, but I put it on the extensions page because I didn't know where else to put it. We can also look at stuff like PG Stat Monitor. I like this one because it breaks things down into buckets. Remember how I talked about Azure has the extension Query Store, and it breaks it down by hour? So you have before and after in the aggregate. PG Stat Monitor does that too. There's also PG Track Settings, which keeps track of the settings changes as you make changes, like if you're doing parameter tuning. I got it right, parameter tuning. If you're doing parameter tuning, you're going to want to track that stuff too, because that's going to affect the way the queries work. That's part of why you're doing it. So it's something to keep an eye on. And there's a whole bunch of other extensions out there as well. Third-party tools, what about those? What could you do there? Well, I mean, PG Analyze makes a fantastic tool. I'm not a fan of Datadog, but Datadog makes a tool that allows you to do that. New Relic. I do work for a company that makes a tool, and yes, I'm put it up here. I don't care. I like it. I think we do a great job, and we're getting better all the time. There's also PG Dash, and your favorite one that I didn't mention. There's a lot of third-party tools. There's a lot of third-party tools. And so the one I didn't mention that you love is also good. I'm not throwing rocks at anybody. And again, apologies if I left out your favorite. But I just wanted to show you there are a whole bunch of third-party tools we can be using. But the idea here is still very simple. If we talk about identify, where's the problem space? Well, that's what stat statements is for. That allows us to identify things. Tracking it through the logs will also allow us to identify things, usually after we've already narrowed things down by looking at the aggregate information, but maybe we're going to just dump stuff into the logs and go from there. Investigation, that's where the execution plans come in, so we can look at the explain plans, the execution plan, and get the details there, but also the information that we can pull out of the logs. Once more, that helps us with the investigation. If you reset the queries, that can help you with the investigation. Modification's modification. You're doing some change someplace. That has nothing to do with anything we talked about today. And then measuring, well, that kind of goes back to the explain plans again, capturing the information there and taking a look at what they're doing. And then it goes back to identify, and we go back through the whole circle again. Everybody cool with that? Cool. Hopefully, we hit these goals. How are we doing on time? 8 minutes, cool. Code and slides for those who missed it. I'll put this up one more time. Oop, too late. Sorry. That was really uncalled for. Oh, Robert left his hat. We got about 7 minutes left. Who's going to and by the way, if you want to play Stump the Chump, I already lost. You guys know that game? Like, I'm smarter than you? You are. Okay, go ahead. Any questions? Oh, I said no Stump the Chump, so nobody wants to ask a question now.
So, no questions? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, no questions?
Cool.
Thank you again.